When I lived in Atlanta, I had moved from Jersey to Atlanta because my husband was incarcerated. So they moved him to Atlanta. So I moved to Atlanta. And when I got down there, it was everything that he said. It was booming. The atmosphere was nice. And I ended up landing this nice telemarketing job. First I was selling magazines, then I was selling home security systems, and then I moved up to the big leagues selling advertising to business owners. After I left selling the magazines, one of my coworkers said, I know where you can make good money selling $500 a sale. So I said, give me the information. So he gave me the information. I took me and my crew down to that place. I said, when do we start? I worked for this new job, selling this advertising, for about 2-3 years. And then that's when I caught my federal case from working at this job. A lot of people think I was locked up for drugs, but no, I was actually working a 9 to 5. The trial was held in Arizona, so I had to fly from Georgia to Arizona every week for 6 months during the time that the trial lasted. The jury found me guilty. So the judge said, okay, Ms. Clark, you're sentenced to 125 months. So I said, 125 months. So I turned to my attorney. I said, 125 months, what does that mean? He said, that's 10.5 years. The jailing mindset is mainly for the long timers. The short timers, they come in, it's nothing. They just come and they're just passing through. But the long timers, they have to do from 6 years and higher. You really have to have a mindset where you have to say, okay, I got to get my routine together. I ain't going home. I got to get into something to keep me occupied. And like my husband said from day one, he said, Wahida, you got to stay busy. You got to do the time. You can't let the time do you. Now, I didn't know I could write. It wasn't in the cards to start writing. There wasn't even, not even a thought. But one day I called home and I said to my niece, I called home and I said, Keisha, send me some money. So she said, Wahida, we'll see what we can do. So I said, what do you mean you'll see what we can do? She said, you're not out here to run these businesses. Nobody's running the businesses. Everything is just at a standstill. They came and repossessed your Benz. The other cars are gone. They're getting ready to foreclose on your house. She said, we're moving. We're packing back up and we're moving back to Jersey. I was like, what? And they also told me that they started pawning all my jewelry. I'm like, oh my God, the end has come. I didn't cry none of the other times. But after I hung up the phone with her and she said we had lost everything and they was moving back up to Jersey, I went and shut the door in my room, and that's the first time that I cried. I said, that's when I started praying. I said, okay, God, what am I going to do? I said, I need to make some money to survive here, to take care of my 2 daughters while they are still out there, and also to set up a nest egg, some type of foundation for when I get home. You put them thoughts out there, the universe, they work with you. The universe was right there. This one particular morning, I picked up this Vibe magazine, or XXL, I'm not sure which one it was. And there was an article in there. And it had a little picture, and it was a sidebar article. And it said that this gentleman, he was in prison, and he had written a book called Be More Careful. His name was Shannon Holmes. I'm like, well, dang, I'm in the prison. Then I'm looking at all the books on the bookshelves. And I said, I start visualizing my name on the spines of the books. Wahida Clark. So I'm looking at all the books on the bookshelves, Wahida Clark. That's when I had my light bulb moment. I said, I'm going to write me a book. And I just started writing. So I wrote every night and every day. And once I got into the groove, I couldn't stop. But while I was writing, I would give it to the ladies on the compound. Each time I would finish a chapter, I would give it to the ladies on the compound to read it. That was a trip because once I would give a chapter out, especially the first one, I was like, oh my gosh, what are they going to say? What are they going to say? So after they would read a chapter, they started coming to the library first thing in the morning, talking about something, give me the next chapter. And then that's when I knew, I was like, uh-oh, I got something. It's on now. It's on now. They would be waiting for me 8 o'clock in the morning. Any other time, there ain't nobody even down there. But now they're waiting on me to come to the library to get this chapter. And then the chapters start being passed around on the compound. It was like, all right, all right, all right. So it was on and popping after that. So this one night, I'm in my room and I'm reading this book called Married Men by Carl Weber. And the book was so good. Then I thought about the acknowledgments, how I would always see his name in acknowledgments. Thank you, Carl Weber this, Carl Weber that. I said, you know what, I'm gonna write this dude. So I got up, got me a pen and paper, and I wrote him a letter. Dear Carl, my name is Wahida Clark. I'm serving 10.5 years. I finished writing my first book, but I'm investigating some printing on demand companies. I don't even have a title yet. Could you give me some suggestions? I signed it, put it in the mail, and forgot about it because I wasn't even expecting him to write me back. But then one day I get a letter back from him, and he's saying that he just started his publishing company and for me to send him my book. And I told my husband, so he got on my family, said, y'all got to go ahead and type this so we can get this book to Carl Weber. So they got it typed up, sent it to Carl Weber, and he sent me a letter back saying that he wanted to publish it. So that's how I got my first publishing deal. But he also said it was too long, that I had to cut it. And I was like, you crazy, I ain't cutting this. So that's how I end up getting Thugs and the Women Who Love Them and Every Thug Needs a Lady. And shortly after that, I'm in my room. It's like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, and the prison guard knocks on my door. He said, Miss Clark. He said it just like that. I'll never forget this. Miss Clark. So I said, yes. He said, I need you to get up and get dressed. I said, why? He said, you're wanted at the lieutenant's office. I said, okay. I said, oh gosh. So I put on my clothes, walk on over to the lieutenant's office. This time they're waiting on me with some handcuffs. The first one says, what is this, Miss Clark? So I said, what do you mean? What is it? So he said, this book. He said, how did you get this published right here under our noses? The outcome was, they said, okay, we're going to put you in the hole while we investigate this book and the officers' names that you have listed in this book. So they didn't even give me time to go back to my room. They put them handcuffs on me, put me in a van, and took me to the hole, which was for the federal camp. It was the county jail. I stayed 9 months at the county jail in the hole, waiting for them to decide what they're going to do with me. I remember asking the investigator, I said, it's nowhere in the Bureau of Prisons policy book that says that we can't write a book. He said it's a gray area, and that's why you're still here, because we don't know what to do. He said, but what I tell you is to write another book while you're here. That's what the investigator told me, and he got up and left. And I said, I'm gonna write me another book. I'm gonna do just like he said. I'm not gonna waste this time. I'm gonna write me another book. The book that I wrote while in the hole was Payback is a Mother. My agent called me up, and he said that Cash Money, they're starting a publishing company. They want you to be on their roster. I said, Cash Money? I said, you mean like Slim and Baby and Lil Wayne? So he said, yeah. I said, they writing up, they starting a publishing company? So he said, yeah. So my face was still frowned up, but then I thought about it, and I thought about them, how they was hustling the CDs out the trunk of the car, and you know who they are today. And I was like, okay, get into publishing. All right, set up the meeting, let's make it happen. So I went there, met with Slim and the attorneys, and I just wanted to, Slim, what are you going to do with this? You publishing now, what do you do? He said, I said, it's going to be big. He said, Wahida, it's going to be big. So it was a no-brainer for me. Would you change anything at all, Wahida? And I always say, nope. They say, you don't regret anything. You spent 9.5 years in prison. I don't regret anything. I wouldn't change anything, because if we change just one little thing, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you today. So I wouldn't change anything, and no regrets.